Have you ever wondered how a single ruler, born in a fractured land of feuding dukes, raiders, collapsing kingdoms, and fading memories of Rome, could rise to resurrect an empire long thought dead? Before Charlemagne, before Frederick Barbarossa, before the glittering crowns and imperial rituals of the Middle Ages, there was a man who forged unity from chaos. A man who turned scattered German duchies into a kingdom, and that kingdom into an empire. His name was Otto, and this is how Otto the Great became the father of the Holy Roman Empire. A continent in shadow. The 10th century was not a gentle age. Europe lay bruised by centuries of invasions, Vikings from the north, Magyars from the east, Saracens from the south. Villages burned, kings rose and fell like sparks blown from a dying fire. In the lands we now call Germany, the old Carolingian order had shattered. Dukes ruled like kings in all but name. Loyalties shifted like river currents. The idea of a unified empire, the dream of Rome, felt impossibly distant. Yet in Saxony, one house had begun to rise, the Liudolfings. Henry the Fowler, Hunter King, had gathered these wild lands into the beginnings of a kingdom. But he knew the truth. "I can build a foundation," he said, "but my son must build the future." That son was Otto, the young king with a dangerous crown. When Henry the Fowler died in 936, Otto was crowned at Aachen, the old capital of Charlemagne. It was a deliberate choice, almost a provocation. Otto wasn't just becoming king, he was placing himself in the lineage of emperors. But ambition invites enemies. Even at his coronation, the dukes murmured. Who was this young Saxon to command Bavarians, Swabians, Franks? They had bowed to Henry, but they would not easily bow to his son. Otto knew this. He didn't back down. He declared that the crown was not a bargaining chip, not a prize negotiated with dukes. It was divinely ordained. Royal authority came from God, not from aristocratic approval. It was a bold claim, almost reckless, and it sparked the first crisis of his reign. Fire within the kingdom. Otto soon found himself surrounded by rebellion, not from foreign invaders, but from his own blood. His younger brother, Thankmar, claimed Otto had stolen the crown. The dukes of Franconia and Bavaria aligned against him. Even Otto's half-brother Henry, ambitious, cunning, and restless, dreamed secretly of the throne. The kingdom fractured. For a king so young, this could have been the end. But Otto possessed something rare, an unshakable sense of destiny. He marched across Germany with disciplined Saxon forces. He confronted or crushed rebellion after rebellion, not with blind vengeance but with strategic mercy. When Thankmar died in battle, Otto made peace with the nobles who had joined him. When Henry rebelled, Otto forgave him and transformed a rival into an ally. By 941, Otto had achieved what few medieval kings ever managed. He broke the power of the dukes without breaking the kingdom. The lion rises, battle at Lechfeld. But while Otto was taming rebels at home, a storm was gathering on the eastern horizon. The Magyars, ferocious horsemen, lightning-fast raiders. For half a century, they terrorized Central Europe. Towns vanished, armies shattered, no realm could stop them. Until Otto. In 955, the Magyars launched their greatest invasion yet, tens of thousands sweeping into Bavaria. Duke after duke sent desperate pleas for help. Otto answered. He summoned the forces of the German lands, not as scattered contingents, but as a single army united under a single king. It was the union his father had dreamed of, now being tested in blood. The fields of Lechfeld became their battleground. The Magyars struck with terrifying speed. Arrows rained from horseback. Entire wings of Otto's army nearly collapsed. But Otto held the center. His heavy cavalry charged again and again, breaking the famed Magyar formations. By dusk, the invaders were in full retreat. Otto's men pursued them relentlessly, ending decades of terror. The victory at Lechfeld was more than a battlefield triumph. It was the moment Germany became a kingdom in truth, not just in name. It was the moment Otto became the Great. And it was the moment Europe realized a new power had risen. The Emperor's path, Rome calls. After Lechfeld, Otto's prestige soared. His influence spread across Central Europe. Slavic princes submitted, dukes obeyed, church leaders praised him as a protector of the faith. But Otto's ambitions reached further than the borders of Germany. He wanted a legacy that echoed through centuries. He wanted Rome, and Rome needed him. Italy was collapsing into chaos, noble factions feuding. The papacy weak and manipulated, kings assassinated. Pope John XIII was desperate for a strong defender. In 962, Otto answered the call. He rode into Rome, not as a conqueror, but as a restorer of order. The Pope crowned him Emperor of the Romans. For the first time since Charlemagne, Europe had an emperor. And unlike Charlemagne's fleeting revival, Otto built structures that endured. The imperial idea, once a ghost, breathed again. The imperial design, church and crown. Otto didn't rule by the sword alone. His genius was political, spiritual, and administrative. He saw that the German dukes could rebel at any time. So Otto turned to another power, the church. He appointed loyal bishops and abbots to key positions. These men were educated, disciplined, and, unlike nobles, they could not pass power to heirs. The Ottonian church system became the backbone of imperial authority. It was a balance of power unique in medieval Europe. Dukes held land, bishops held administration. The emperor held both together. This system didn't just secure Otto's reign, it laid the foundation for centuries of governance, well into the High Middle Ages. Love, loss, and legacy. Even the greatest rulers are shaped by the storms of their lives. Otto's first wife, Edith of Wessex, was beloved not only by him, but by the entire court. Her death shattered him. For months, chroniclers say, Otto walked like a man carrying invisible weights. But he continued. His second marriage, to Adelaide of Italy, was not only a political alliance, it was a partnership. Together, they ruled as co-sovereigns. She traveled with him, advised him, and later became a saint. Otto's relationship with his son, Otto II, was more complex. Otto wanted to forge a dynasty, not just an empire. But he also feared the instability that younger heirs could bring. So he crowned his son co-emperor while he lived, both securing succession and teaching the next generation how to rule. The final years. The sunset of a builder. In his final decade, Otto's attention shifted to Italy. He sought to strengthen his ties with Byzantium, expand imperial influence, and stabilize what previous kings had failed to hold. But the empire was a fragile creature. Rebellions flickered, alliances shifted, the Byzantine court resisted him, the Italian nobles schemed against him. Yet Otto persisted with the same iron will that had defined him since youth. In 973, while preparing for a renewed Italian campaign, Otto fell ill and died at the age of 60. Europe mourned. Chroniclers wrote as if a pillar of the world had fallen, but in truth, something far greater had been built. The birth of the Holy Roman Empire. Otto didn't just win battles or crush rebellions. He didn't just unify Germany or stabilize Italy. He didn't just claim a long-forgotten Roman title. He forged a new political order, one that blended Roman imperial tradition, Germanic kingship, Christian religious authority, and dynamic alliances across Europe. This fusion became the Holy Roman Empire, an institution that would shape Europe for nearly 1,000 years. Otto was its architect, its father, its first true emperor in spirit and function. No empire is eternal. But Otto's idea, the idea of a unified Christian empire standing between the papacy and the princes, would echo for centuries. Kings would invoke him, popes would curse him, historians would debate him, but none would deny him. Closing reflection. The man who rebuilt Rome. So how did Otto the Great become the father of the Holy Roman Empire? He united a fractured nation. He crushed the greatest invaders of his age. He restored imperial order in Italy. He balanced church and crown with unprecedented wisdom. He revived an imperial dream thought dead since antiquity. But above all, he understood power not as force, but as architecture. He built structures that outlived him. He forged bonds stronger than steel. He revived an empire from ashes. In an age when the world seemed to be collapsing, Otto dared to imagine something greater, and he made that vision real. The Holy Roman Empire begins with him, a man who refused to accept chaos, a king who became an emperor, a ruler who reshaped history. This is the legacy of Otto the Great, the father of the Holy Roman Empire. If you found this story fascinating, like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel, where we explore the civilizations, ideas, and mysteries that shaped humanity.